What's good, coaches? Welcome back to Beyond the Box Score. We're talking hoops, but most importantly, beyond the whistles. Today, we're talking at a round table, and we're starting with the why. All right, but let's first introduce our coaches who we have on today. And go ahead, Coach Smith.
Is Coach Smith in the building? You know what I'm saying? But no, we have a phenomenal guest here for you guys. Warren Montgomery the third. I gotta make sure I say the third. The
Already,
third in the
already,
house.
already.
He coming out here to give us a little flavor of some basketball from his point of view, from his side. He's on the men's side. So he's gonna tell us about his journey, and we just gonna get this thing rolling.
What's up? What's up, y'all? My name is Roy Montgomery the third. I'm Oklahoma Christian. Right now I'm at a student assistant role, and yeah, trying to keep this thing moving, keep it going.
Keep
Have
this
have to have to be on here
thing.
too. Appreciate y'all. Appreciate y'all.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
We appreciate you. It would, sometimes kids forget that basketball wouldn't be basketball without coaches. They think that the ones that know it all, they think that they can that they can just do it and they don't need no coach. But a coach job is to correct and to teach. So without you guys, without us, the game of basketball wouldn't be what it is. So with that being said, like, tell us a little bit about basketball. Tell us about your basketball story. What is basketball to you? What does that mean? What's your why?
Basketball to me, honestly, has been everything. Started playing whenever I was not five, excuse me, in fifth grade. Sorry. And from there, it just took off. I went through middle school, went through high school. Unfortunately, I tore my senior year. I tore my ACL and meniscus, and so like that derailed my plans I had of going into playing at the next level straight out of high school. And so I ended up taking a year off. And in that year off, there was a lot of ups and downs, a lot of battles that I had to fight mentally, physically, and ultimately it just led back to me just finding love for the game again. And so from there, I went to a tryout at Southwestern Christian College in Terrell, Texas, and I ended up getting on there my first year. So I ended up playing that whole year. The second year though, we ended up getting a new coach, and so he took away our scholarship, my scholarship, per se. But after a couple of weeks of just being away from the team, I just made up in my mind that like I want to pursue the coaching career I had set aside, for my plan B. So I asked him to come on as a student assistant, and he agreed to it. That's been a blessing in and of itself. And then so I went through that second season, in that capacity. And after I graduated from there, I came up here to Oklahoma Christian, went through the whole last year, and that's where we are now. So we are now.
Man, we low key got the same similar stories. I went to Seminole State in Oklahoma.
Yeah.
JUCO, right? And first year I played, second year a new coach came in. Our coach wanted to end up being like the president or the dean over the school. And the new coach that came in, he was like, I'm not returning no players because he came from a high school, right? He had college background, but he came from a high school and he ended up was like, I'm bringing in my own crew. Left us just
hmm
high and dry. And that was kind of like my take was like, man, maybe this ain't for me. Maybe I gotta go. God is trying to tell me like, hey, you gotta go this coaching route. So that's kind of how where I ended up. That's really deep. That's tough. That's tough. That's tough. I like that, man.
Appreciate that.
Yeah.
That,
Yeah.
And really just get into my why. I kind of found I could think of 3 points.
mhm.
One, I just do it for my family. I felt throughout my life, everybody has poured into me, whether that be my parents, grandparents, aunts and uncles, even cousins. They've all put a lot of time and invested in me. I always want them to see the fruits of their labor. That all that time they put in, it didn't go wasted. I wouldn't just, taking it in one ear, putting out the other. I was really taking in into consideration what they're telling me. Second, I'm just doing it for those who can't really do it anymore. Like I said, Matt mentioned those moments of adversity. I've lost a couple friends, coming out of high school, and even up to now, who didn't really get to grow old or pursue the dream that they had set aside or set for themselves. Just I really really make it a point, to just to do it for them, just because they can't do it no more. Just that's I kind of wear that on my shoulder and on my back, proudly. Just lastly, I just do it just to become the best. I'm not really trying to prove anything to anybody. I'm not trying to make a point. I'm not trying to do this and that. I feel like I have a responsibility to do the best I can in whatever I'm doing. And right now this is what the focus is, and that's just the mission to become the best at it, develop my craft, to see where it takes me.
I like that. I think a lot of young players and just coaches in general need to understand like it's not about proving anybody wrong, it's about proving yourself right. Like you got a goal and it's not even about nobody else. So with that, man, like can't nobody take that fire away from you because it ain't about nobody else, it's about your own journey. That's deep, man. I love that. I love that. Yep.
Absolutely. Your journey is different than everybody else's journey. So let's talk about your journey a little bit. So you said that you had tore your ACL, right? So talk a little bit about that. Like what advice would you give someone who kind of is in your scenario right now, that maybe that's a senior or maybe they just tore their ACL? What kind of advice would you give them that's looking to play college basketball?
I mean, if like you said, if anybody who just find themselves in that position, I would say, one, first of all, take the time that you need to heal. Let your body do what it needs to do. And kind of just really just go from there. I think a lot of times players when they want to rush back, or try to rush into something that's not really the best situation for them. So, like me personally, I feel like that year, yes, a lot of things happened, but it took me a time to sit back and assess, what is and what isn't. And as far as advice go, just find what's best for you. Do what's best for you. If you need to take a year off, get your mind and body right, do that. If you already have something set up that you can just, then they're allowing you to, to heal and go through that recovery process, by all means, take it. Like I said, just finding what's best for you. And at the end of the day, you know what's best for you, and only you can execute that.
Only you know it's best for you. That's real. That means you have to be in tune with yourself. So, did your injury cause you to get more in tune with who you are today?
Um, all in all, in the bigger scheme of things, because like I said, in that particular time, in that specific time frame, it was a rough time. Just from losing a lot of people. The month before that, we had just lost the day before, 2 days before in the playoffs. That happened. A couple things afterwards took place. Um, this is It's one of those things where you just had to work through it. Had to persevere. Like I said, on the back end, just looking at it, like you said, it made me stronger who I am today. Just that the type of adversity that people face, that's what really makes you who you are. So in going through it, it was like, man, this is tough. Am I gonna be able to make it through? But looking at where I am now, most definitely turned me in and helped me grow into what I am today.
Taking one foot, stepping in front of the other. Is there
Yeah.
any part of the game, because you had all the heartaches, is there any part of the game that makes you still feel like a kid again? Like you just back outside, just playing pickup ball or just you and your shadow, man? What make you feel like that?
Really just being in the gym. I've even now I find myself just picking up shots just randomly. Like, it's kind of like having an itch and you just having to scratch. Like my personal thing, I love to shoot the ball. So, anytime I can hop on a gun, I just forget about whatever is going on, anything that's going on. I just find myself just shooting. And really that just makes me feel like, the kid again. So I can think back at time oftentimes, growing up, whenever we was in church, we had a gym in there, and every time, after every service, whether it be Sunday, Wednesday, even on the weekends, we're just up in there. Me and my brothers putting up shots. Me and my friends, putting up shots. That just taking that time just to develop yourself. That just takes me back to that time. Anytime I can get back to that, I definitely take that opportunity. Mhm.
So being in the gym, man, kind of helps you relive those moments of being in the church with your brothers
Most definitely,
and being able
most
to see
definitely,
everything else that's going on in life.
yes sir.
Good, man. That's good.
So, who would you be without basketball?
Ideally, I'll still be a child of God first and foremost, but
Mm.
I still be me. I still have my sets and my values. I still have my circle of people around me. I wouldn't be anything less. This is just something I get to do. It's a privilege to do this. I'll still be me. I just wouldn't have basketball, which is would be hard to imagine. But ideally, after the ball stop bouncing, you're gonna have to figure something out. And so if that's what I was faced to handle, that's just what we got to do.
I love the fact that you said like basketball is it's not just like part of you. You have core values. You have the people around you. And with that, I feel like that you are going to be leading a lot of young men, a lot of young women, whoever you coach, whoever you're touching in that aspect on that basketball court. You're going to be able to guide them into a better version of themselves. Because to me, it sounds like it's way beyond basketball for you.
Most
Like
definitely.
yours wasn't like the love of the game. It wasn't like, oh, I hit this game winner. It was, man, back in the church with my family. And then you said your core values and the people around you. That says a lot about what type of coach that you are and that you're going to continue to be, to just help bring other people familiar to whatever their God is, and just understand that family and core values is very important in this.
Sure.
If you get that out of more than dribbling and more beyond the scoreboard, man, that's going to take you a lot further than when this basketball stops to bounce.
Yes, sir.
I love that.
Absolutely. So was that hard to figure out that you were just basketball was just something that you do? When did you figure that out?
That something just sitting here.
When did you figure out that basketball was something that you do and not who you are?
Um, in that time frame, just away from the game. Like I said, a lot of things happen. I just had to one, I was a regular student for the first time in a while. Just not being able to go to practice, not going to the shoot around, not going to the game days, not being able to walk into the gym and just smell the fresh paint when they just got done cleaning the court.
Oh, the fresh paint.
Just without all of that, that just made me realize, that's like I said, the ball's gonna stop bouncing, and I'm about to just be who I am and find who I am at that time. And so, that's just how it went down.
Man, that's amazing because now you coach college players, right? Correct?
Yes,
You were
ma'am.
at a
Yes,
D
ma'am.
two. Yeah.
Yes, yes, ma'am.
What's y'all? What's the conference?
A Lone Star. Lone
Lone
Star
Star
Conference.
D2, Lone Star in the
Yeah.
house.
There we
So
go.
so since you coach college players now and you kind of struggled with figuring out that basketball was just a part of what you do and not who you are, how do you help players not lose themselves in the game now? Have you seen that? Is that common now on that level or
It is common. A lot of times, and this is a big shout out to my man David Bonzo, what we got this year. He pointed something out to me after a game. He was saying how, you know, this is just basketball. And the ball, like you said, you're going to keep on moving. You can't base your whole mood and who you are just off of ball. Yes, ball means everything to me, but you have to set yourself or find your identity in something that's just going to find you complete happiness. And a lot of times that's kind of what I want to preach to my guys. Even consistency is first and foremost. And even when those things don't go your way, you got to be able to stay true to who you are, no matter what. Even if you might not be getting the time you want, might not be getting the looks you want, your shot may not be falling this game. No matter what happens, you got to be consistent and stay true to yourself. So that's kind of the main thing I've been kind of preaching to guys. And unfortunately, this kind of it's been kind of common theme and since I've been in this. But we've have guys, I've coached guys, who are strong mentally, who can keep themselves going. I might need to say something, but it's just a reiteration for them. I'm not trying to constantly pull somebody up and up and up. I just put a little something in their mind to keep them going. As many times I need to do that, that's what I'm willing to do.
that's awesome. More than the game. Cause you care it sounds like you care about the person first.
Most definitely. Most definitely.
So okay, so let's talk about philosophy a little bit. So what's your favorite thing about basketball? What's your philosophy that you're developing right now, or what kind of philosophy and what kind of philosophy are you under right now?
Now we have a thing we call a scrap mentality. Scrap is start the fight. That's the S. C is to communicate effectively. R is relentless effort. A is for active hands in the passing lane or on ball, and then P is for pressuring the ball. And then ultimately we're trying to embody a tough mindset. Not being altered or withered through whatever may be happening during the game or off the court, on the court, just having that tough mentality and knowing that, the tough team will win. That's kind of the main thing that we're trying to focus on this year. But I would say it's something that like it's been kind of that's been with me throughout my years. It's something that we picked up in high school and even in middle school because we came up through the same program all throughout all those years, and we kind of took it from Coach Wooden, and we called it 2 sets of 3s. We never lie, never cheat, never steal. Don't whine, don't complain, don't make excuses. And so that's the kind of thing that
Say
I
that
try to.
again, Coach. Say that again for the people in the back so they can hear.
Everybody hear that, man.
Got it 2 sets of 3. Never lie, never cheat, never steal. You don't whine, you don't complain, you don't make excuses.
You
And
heard
so
that.
yeah, that's kind of the thing where I kind of try to base myself and keep in mind, that's what I try to make my identity is. Yeah. And, I'm constantly every day, I'm changing my philosophy. I'm taking everything in. What I may say today may not be what I say tomorrow. So I'm trying to be a sponge and taking everything in, just being honest.
And there's nothing wrong with being a sponge.
Being a sponge, man. Growth mindset. That's what's up. Every day you can learn. What
Sure.
does a good culture in your program, what does that look like?
Back to consistency, and accountability from the top down. And I think everybody has to be excited to do their job and know what their role is. If somebody, the body, I think of the body or even a puzzle piece. You can't put a puzzle piece together with one piece missing. The body can't function without the arm. The body can't function without the brain. All parts have to work together to complete a common goal. And so that's what I think that a culture really needs to be in body of one that's not afraid to hold their players accountable, and one that shows up and does the job every day, and ultimately just like I said, back to just doing your job the best you can and going hard at it all the time. So I think the way I see it, if you're showing up and not giving your best effort every day, you're wasting all of our time. And I feel the same way. If I'm showing up just to practice one day, not being as loud as I should be, or not saying what I need to, or not just being uninvolved or unconnected, I'm wasting my time because I feel like the game it really requires something of you every day to win. And when you don't, the habits matter. We have a thing, Coach Batista, he says everything matters. I think everything matters, all the way down to the smallest things. So I try to keep that in my mind and try to incorporate that any way I can.
I love the fact that you said that you have to be excited for your role. I don't think a lot of players know what the role is, or everybody feels like they're just a scorer. And you was pretty much saying like even from the coaches have a role, and then it without one piece, everything misses. If you're missing that one puzzle piece, you can't finish the puzzle. So just tell me what roles are on you guys' program, from your starting 5 to the bench players to your coaches to your manager. Right? Just
Right.
everybody's role.
So from the top down, we got Coach Talley, our head coach. He's is just the head of the snake, the head of what we do. He delegates the duties. He constructs the game plan, him and our assistant. It's taking a step down to our assistant coach, Coach Batista, Cooper Batista. God, keep that in mind. He's our defensive guy. He puts everything in order. Lets us know what we need to do. Sets our game plan defensively or what we need to do as far as our ball screen coverages, how we're going to run this, what we're going to do against this type thing. And then you got our special assistant and our volunteer assistant, our legendary coach Dan Hayes, one of the GOATs, one of the greatest coaches in Oklahoma, and Coach Bob Batista, Coach Coop's father. Those two, they bring wisdom. They bring wisdom in everything that we do. Just a different point of view, and they've helped me a lot. Just pointing out different things I can do. Giving words of encouragement. Anything that they can contribute to, to win. And then you have our GA and Coach Taylor Turner. He just came on this year with us. He's working guys out. As far as player development. And really, just doing a lot of operational stuff. And then you have me. I'm doing everything, from operational, helping guys on the court, player development, whatever I can get my hands on, however I can impact winning, that's what I'm willing to do. And we take a step down to our players. Our starting 5. I honestly, I think we have on paper one of the best starting fives in the conference. We got a good point guard and my man Mason Howell. Our two guard Carson Jones is a sniper. Who's gonna give the extra effort. Is gonna gonna do whatever he needs to do to win. Then we got my guy Miles Gibson. Miles Gibson, keep that name in mind. Y'all gonna remember that name one day.
He
He
sound like a superstar. He's just Miles
coach,
Gibson, like that
coach.
sound. Yeah.
He's
We
an
might
all
gotta
round
get him
player.
on here. We might gotta
Hey,
get Miles Gibson
do
on here.
that.
You can
Do
make that
that.
happen for us.
I can do that. I can do that. He's just the type of guy who brings everything you need. He's gonna get on the boards. He's gonna score. He's gonna play defense. He's gonna get on the floor, do all those scrappy things and things that's just make winning plays. So
He a
that's
winner.
what he's gonna do. Most definitely. Most definitely. Then now a couple of games ago we promoted our freshman, Noah Clark. He's starting at our four. He's from Tulsa, Oklahoma. He's a guy that brings a lot of length. He's a 6'10" freshman. He brings a lot of length. He can stretch the floor. He alters any shot that goes up in the rim. He just brings another presence, another rebounding aspect that we need. And then down to the our five man, my man Jason Clark. That's another name y'all got to keep in mind. He's a senior this year. He's just that presence for us. That one that sets the tone. Him and Miles set the tone in practice. As far as keeping the standard alive. Establishing our culture, and even sometimes getting guys right. Whatever we need to do, and then just being a bucket, just keeping being 100. He's just a bucket. You know, there's a lot. It's not too many guys and not too many things that's gonna stop him. He's gonna get whatever shot you need. And then our bench plays a big part in what we do. Even from during the games, being excited, just being loud, just doing what they do. Each and every single guy, brings a different type of aspect. And we do have certain guys, who stand out and sit and make that difference in what we're trying to do. So I think from the top down, I think things could be better. Everything is not perfect. It's not it can't I'm not always ideal, but I think we're doing the best of what we can for now, for sure.
I love the fact that you guys all know the roles, and that says a lot about from the head. Everything that you were speaking from the beginning, from clarity and accountability, and then you said the three W's. What was
Two sets of three. Two
Two
sets of
seven
three,
three.
man? Like that right there speaks a lot of value, and that says a lot about you guys' program. That's big. I love that for you guys for sure.
So speaking of role players, because I heard you mention that. So how important is role players in your opinion?
Most definitely. Highly important. Role players, they're an extension of what the starters are. The starters, they do what they do. They might come in and be on fire. They might come in and have a bad game. But I think that bench and that those role players are very important. Because they're an extension of what you do. And as far as doing the job, I think it's highly important that their roles are communicated, and so it can be impact winning. Because if they're coming in, oh yeah, I'm gonna score this amount of buckets. I'm not gonna pass this. I'm not gonna run this. You know what I'm saying? I feel like it can cause a lot of confusion a lot of times, but it's just important because you know just to pick up the slack in the game per se. You never really want a drop off, and from the first five to the next five. And I think a lot of teams they win with good role players, guys who
Yeah.
know their role, know what they're supposed to do. And when you have a good combination and good guys who can do that, I think you have a good chance to win. Most definitely.
Sure, man. And when you know your role, when you're at practice, you're sharpening that starting five. So as deep as those players go, your bench, like, man, if it wasn't for them and you're not getting those fine tunes and being able to bump and grind against bones and not just against cones, like it wouldn't even make a difference. So what are you guys right now? Like, how are you guys doing like in season? Like,
In season, we're kind of it's a struggle. We're on a losing streak right now. But I think every day our guys, they're coming in with the mentality that, like they're not checked out. We don't got have guys that, who are just here just to be here. Like I said, everything is not perfect, it's not ideal, but these guys are showing up. It'd be easy for anybody just to stay in the bed or, not show up to practice. So I think the fact that they're showing up, that's where we can start. I try to find, positives in everything that, that's going on. Like I said, whether it be negative or positive. Um, but just in general, I think we're just still trying to as the season winds down, we're still just trying to find who we are. We haven't gotten that game to where everything is clicking. We're rolling on all cylinders. And that's okay. You know what I mean? So, um, like I said, we're just gonna try to keep taking it day by day, and try to doing our jobs the best we can, to see where it take us. Things may not be this year, might not have we might not have accomplished everything we wanted to this year, but like I said, just this is a piece in the bigger scheme of things, just for the program in general, for sure.
Love that, coach. I love it, man.
Absolutely. Y'all are heading in the right direction. It's all about steps. It's all about steps. And getting guys in that want to buy into the program and want to do what your head coach wants to do. So that's pretty dope. So and let me ask you this. How do you feel about developing? Or what do you think about developing? What is your take on that? What is your program take on that?
I think development is the big key. I think you have to develop the whole person, not just basketball. I think mentally, physically, and spiritually as well. I'm a big man of faith. So before anything, like you said, like you mentioned before, I care about the person rather than the basketball player. So it's developing. I think that's just like you said. It's not really just basketball. You're trying to make guys turn guys into a better man. Better individuals whenever they leave your program. You know, so I think the more you develop and the more that you can mold guys and turn them into good human beings, just good, decent human beings. I think that goes a long way, way past what the bounds of the basketball court. Like me personally, I talk to all the guys all the time, about anything that we're going through. Of course, we have, ball talk, but just things that, you might struggle with or something that's going on in your life, sometimes you just need someone you just need a ear to listen to. I mean, someone to listen to them per se. So like I said, anything I can do to, to benefit the program, benefit the guys, that's what I want to do. So development, that's just been in my role, that's been the big thing for sure. The big thing. Most definitely, most definitely. Somebody got to do the work. Somebody got to.
Yeah, I love it. I love it. Yeah.
Absolutely. Okay, so tell me a pet peeve. What is a coaching pet peeve you have? And for those who don't know what pet peeves are, there are things that coaches just can't stand.
Can't stand kids wearing ankle socks. Get out. No, I'm playing. I'm playing. I'm playing. I'm playing.
um,
Don't wear no
I,
exams in this practice.
I'm actually wearing some right now. But I'll just say effort, effort. That's just the big thing. If you're not really to be dominant, you got to have effort and toughness. Then to be, especially in this league, this is probably one of the toughest conferences in D2, and you can't go out there and win games just being lackadaisical. Not really executing your job and your role or whatever the scout was to the best of your ability. And if you're just going out there, just to be out there, it's gonna be you're gonna easily get down 15 to 2 or find yourself getting punched in the mouth. So that's been a big thing for us for sure. For sure.
If you can just elaborate a little bit more on effort, because everybody hears the word effort, but what does that really entail?
Going hard. I think, a lot of times guys, they go about things just to get through. They go through practice just to get through practice. And
Yeah.
this always goes back to just putting your best foot forward, and getting better every day. I think if you can find yourself going hard all the time, no matter what, no matter the small things, no matter if it's small or big, I think that's the sign of effort. If you can make the next player make the winning play, or get a stop, that's effort. We have a star system. We have extra effort. Ball pressure, four burns. And two other things that's not coming to my mind, but those things are just effort. Things that not really don't show up on the box score that you really need to win. Um, and you can't win without it. You can't win without effort. You can't win without effort. And so I think that's just something that a lot of guys need to just keep in mind, keep in the back of their head. And that, some coaches, a lot of coaches will not recruit effort. I don't like to, I don't, me personally, I don't want to have to just motivate a guy every day to just go hard.
Right.
I think that you got to have that built into you. And, and if you can find guys who have that and that you don't have to pull that out of, you're set. You're all set.
Yeah.
It's ready to go.
You right, coach, because I am not coaching effort. College coaches don't want to coach effort. That's what you're saying, correct?
Most definitely. Most
So if
definitely.
you want to go to the next level, make sure don't know coach got to coach your effort. Like you got to bring effort 100% of the times. Point blank, period.
Hey
Sure.
man, go
And
ahead.
that pet peeve, I got a second one. Is
Okay.
well we called it the idiot box. So you got the half court line and you got the four corners. We called
Yes,
that the idiot. Anytime somebody picks their ball up in that idiot box, I lose it because to me that you gotta give yourself options and you're limiting yourself because one you already have the half. Let's say you're across the half court line. You have the half court line as a defender. You got the baseline as a defender. You have the man in front of you as a defender, and you're putting yourself in an advantage whenever you're picking the ball up. So that's just one thing I just cannot stand.
I
Cannot.
can't stand that either, man. I call it the same thing, the idiot box, man. You
Yep.
smarter than
Yep.
that. Get out the idiot, bro. Come
Most
on.
definitely. Most definitely.
So when it comes to recruiting,
Hmm.
give some high schoolers, high school seniors, juniors some advice. Let's start with the seniors. What's important?
I would say making yourself stand out. Doing the little things that nobody is willing to do. A lot of people don't want to get their hands dirty. They don't want to get on the loose ball, on the foot for loose balls. They don't want to make that extra effort. Sprint down to the court whenever the ball's in front of them. They don't want to to play good sound defense all the time. I think you like I said, if you find a way to set yourself apart and you really the biggest thing is finding what you're best at, what you do best, and then executing to the best of your ability. I think if a lot of coaches they're looking for somebody who can just one is just fundamentally sound, first of all.
Now, give me
First off.
hold on, because you hit a nerve. You hit a nerve. Give me some examples of fundamentally sound for the college level.
First of all, one, just knowing for me, this is me personally, knowing how to execute a set or a play. A lot of coaches, they might not run a couple, a lot of things, but whatever they do call, you need to be able to execute that front and backwards in your sleep. Second off is first was playing defense. Defense is fundamental. I don't think you can really teach good defense. I think that's something that's instinctive, and that whenever you do find someone who has that embedded, you found a good thing. Um, Thirdly, I would say being able to one catch and shoot. I think catch and shoot is something that's vital. Because you got to be able to knock down the open shot whenever you find an opportunity. And what's one last thing I can say? Being able to dribble, just being able to dribble. I think you got to be able to handle pressure. Whenever let's say you find yourself in the wrong end of a press, you got to be able, if you don't have help coming down, you got to be able to do something with it. I have to be able to trust you with the ball in your hands, in any situation at that. So I think those are we can start with this. It's fundamental.
Fundamentals. Not all this in and out and euro and
Right.
fundamentals. What are you
And
doing with the ball?
playing
What are
off
you
two
doing with
feet.
the ball?
I think
Playing
that's
off 2 feet.
fundamental.
That's
I think that's
important.
fundamental. I
Yes.
think that's fundamental.
Yes. Yes.
Fundamental, bro.
Man.
Golly, playing off of 2 feet.
Playing off of two.
Sure,
So if
for
you don't
sure.
know how to play off of two and you want to go play college ball, that's something you can practice on your own. All right, talk to that junior kid that is trying to get recruited.
Uh, building your overall game. Building your overall game. I think if you going into your senior year having the idea that you want to have a good season, I think this like back to finding what you do and being the best at it. I think you don't want to limit to yourself. Oh, I'm just a shooter. I'm just a slasher. I'm just doing this. I'm just doing that. I think if you can find yourself and embed yourself into um, become whole in your ability as a basketball player all around. I think as a junior, that's a good place to start. Um, and one, and secondly, just being open to you know your role. I think we're coming back to your role. Some juniors they find themselves being a guy. Some find themselves coming off the bench, and having just to provide that spark off the bench. And like I said, whatever that is, do the best at it because with us, or at least with me, I'll say that nothing goes unnoticed. If I can see a guy, who's giving his 100% effort or doing things that need to do to win, making winning plays, for juniors, I think that's important. Because that then I think you're ready just to take that next step. And again, it's a puzzle piece. Come putting things together at because what you were at your freshman sophomore year, that's not you're not the same. So I think constantly just building on those things. So by the time you get to your senior year, you've already look up and you've developed it. You're asked all in all aspects of the game. So I think just constantly just putting in that work, constantly showing up, and just getting involved and getting in networking. Networking is a big thing. Getting in front of coaches, getting to camps if you need to, and whatever, however that looks for you. I think that just needs to be done. But I think me personally, I made the mistake of not really going to camps, as my junior year, but not really getting involved or in front of people like I should have, and I think that kind of hurt me on the back end. So my advice to juniors, on top of all of that I said, is for one, and secondly, just to book up, excuse me, networking, and get to know people, get in front of people, so that one that you having a good idea of where you at by the time you get to that senior year, or so you can just decide on what you need to do. And that's just the biggest thing.
Juniors, what he's saying, fine tune your game and then go network and get your name out there. Because I feel like a lot of seniors or a lot of juniors, they do it backwards. They go network, but their game don't speak up. Make sure you fine tune you all around player. Be versatile. Be able to dribble left hand, right hand, finish off 2 feet, catch and shoot, defend like coach is saying, and also be able to defend and be relentless and star in whatever role it is. Whatever, everybody has some type of identity. Make sure that you find your identity and be great at that. Be the best at that. If it's going to be rebounding, if it's going to be diving on the ground for the 50-50s, if it's going to be the most coachable kid, like whatever it is, make sure that you are out there doing that and be special at that and be consistent. Some nights you might miss shots. Some nights you might make shots. But when that coach shows up, be like, man, that kid's on the floor. I watched him 9 times, and every game, that kid is on the floor, right? That right there is going to make you a standout and a special player.
Yes, it is. Know what you do. Like period. Know what you do. So coach, I have a pet peeve. And one of my pet peeves is bad body language. Talk to me about bad body language. What is that like at the college level? Like, because some kids don't know. Some kids think that they can take their attitudes or maybe not listening to a coach to the next level. They think they can take that. And I be telling my kids, baby, I am not dealing with your bad body language. But I don't have to deal with that. Our kids, they understand they understand bad body language. So I don't have to deal with that. So but talk to them.
First off, body language is one of the most important things you need to focus on at the next level. So I think the moment I'm big on a guy, shooting a shot, missing it, putting their head down. I really can't get down with that because to me to be a good shooter, you gotta hit the next shot out of your head. If you missed it, whatever, we put up the next one. But I would say, shoot, I just drew a blank. What was the question? My fault.
No, you good. Bad body language.
Yes, body language. So I think just one, keeping yourself uplifted, and a lot of times, because whenever you have individuals who embody bad body language, I think it brings the rest of the team down. Because that bad, I'm a big energy guy. I guess you can call it vibes. I can sense, I can tell whenever things are not ideal, and the moment somebody drops off, I notice it because I've seen you on your best days. I know how you are when things are going your way. So, and I think with body language, that's something that you have to control. You have to maintain that grip of, because the moment you lose that, first of all, you can lose your opportunity, you can lose your chance, and then two, you're hurting the team. You're hurting the team first and foremost. And I think once you do that, I think you have the wrong idea. Just being honest with you. And it all goes back to being coachable. Really, just being coachable. Even when the coach gets on you, oh, coach, this and that. Oh, coach, is throwing your hands up. We can't do that. Can't do that. And you get tied into respect. but it's just the character thing. You know, I think you have to those are things that you have to build upon yourself. Have to keep that in the back of your mind. That yes, I might be mad in this situation, but I gotta stay positive. I gotta stay right because at the end of the day, it's the bigger goal that's at hand, and you have to do what it takes to maintain that goal and keep it in grasp. And like I said, once you lose that, and you start putting your head down, throwing your hands up, worried about a bad call, like complaining to the ref. I think once that happens, you lose sight of what you're trying to do.
Yeah. Control the controllables, man. I love it, coach. I love it.
The controllables. So you're not recruiting bad character.
No, 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 no. Actually, at here at Montgomery Christian, with this being a Christian school, we kind of try to get, not I wouldn't say stand up guys, but just good sound guys. I don't think nobody wants to deal with the knucklehead that you always have to worry about. That you're constantly worrying about. Okay, am I gonna get a call at this time? Am I gonna get a call at that time? I think just character first of all is just being who you are. If you're a good guy and I don't really have to worry about you, on or off the court. Well, I can work with that. We can build with that. And again, that's just being coachable. If you can take good coaching, if you can, respond well to adversity, I think that's all ties back into character. Controlling again, like Coach said, controlling the controllables. If you can make that a good habit, that's again character. I don't think you can really emphasize character enough because a lot of nowadays, we got people that who say that one thing and have this and portray themselves as another. So I think if you can um embody just being a good person, somebody that's just a stand-up guy, stand-up woman, you know what I mean? A coach is gonna look at that first. A lot of coaches, they will not recruit you if based off your character. If you a guy that causes trouble, who's also at your last place, not good at the house, and just have this kind of reputation, I think you kind of set yourself behind the mark. Just and to do that, and to maintain that type of character, you just got to be constant, got to be working on yourself every day, and that's just one of the biggest things I would say.
Yeah.
Character is important. Coaches don't want to coach kids that don't have good character. I say this thing all the time is that who you are on the court is who you are off the court. Like what you do on the court are the habits that you bring off the court. And the habits that you do off the court are the habits that you bring on the court. Like I really believe that. So being a good person is very, very important because at the end of the day, if I know I'm in the middle of a tough game, a tough situation, because of who you are, I know I'm going to get your very best. I know you're not going to sit down and break down in the middle of this game because of who you are. And that goes a long way because good character helps you win, period.
Oh, definitely. And even back into practice, small things like touching the line, on sprints, sprinting to the next drill, and constantly clapping, encouraging somebody. I think that's a character thing. And a lot of coaches they cherish that. And, a lot of coaches are looking for that. A lot of coaches will recruit character over talent if it really comes down to it. So I think that's just one thing that guys need to keep in mind.
They will recruit character over talent because character will outlast the talent at the end of the day. Because if you have the talent but you don't know what to do with it and you don't know how to handle it, then your character is going to be exposed regardless. It's going to be exposed.
And with character, man, I feel like you can battle with the guys no matter the scoreboard. A lot of players with that talent, and that don't have character, you down on the scoreboard now. Like you were saying, hands are going up. They talking to somebody else on their own team, and they just bringing everybody down. But I want to know who you are when that scoreboard is not favoring your way. And that lets me know who I can battle with. I got to be able to win with the same person and lose with the same person. I don't need you all too high when we win and too low when we lose. Be consistent. Be the same person. Yes, is it going to sting if you lose? Yes. But, man, be able to just be locked in and just take the punches. And then come back to the drawing board, come back to the gym and fine-tune it and try to fix it for the next one. But, yeah, character is huge. Character is huge, man. I love that.
Absolutely. Especially, coach. So look, especially for these high school kids, they need to understand that because you got to have good character because you not only just going against, they're not just looking at your basketball skills, but they also looking at your character. But then you got to look at this. You going against kids or men and women in the portal. So you
Most
got
definitely.
you got a double whammy here. So you got to make sure that your character is on point if you want to be
Yep.
a special kid
Yep.
in high school coming out and trying to go D1, D2.
Yep. Yep. That's just
So
back to, standing out. Find a way
yeah,
to stand out.
you got to. So with standing out, how do you guys evaluate IQ, or how important is IQ at the college level,
It
at the
is.
D2 level?
It's highly important. For me personally, like just start with like, point guard. You got to know a point guard that can control the pace, who knows when to push it, who knows when to hold to slow it down and run the play. Um, we call it, just controlling the game. I think it's just you can win and lose a game based off of IQ. Taking the ball out under the basket. Not boxing out or not cracking back in this. I think I just IQ. You can tie a lot of things back to IQ, and I think it's just to win, even at this level. It comes down to small things. And like I said, like we're talking about, IQ is one of those small things that you must have to win. If I got guys who who we have the time is not on our side, or let's say we do have time on our side, and you guys are just chucking up shots, you're going to lose games like that because one, you're losing the possession. You've got to defend on the back end, but on the back end, you're defending guys who are putting up a team who's averaging 80 points a game. So you're having to come up with a stop, and it's putting us in a bad position. So, um, I think it just starts with the point guard. If you can have a point guard that has good IQ and who can influence your team to make good decisions and even work through the bad ones, I think that's the place to start, and we can work to win with that.
Love that.
I
Yep.
agree.
Yes, sir.
IQ is important. How can high school kids increase their IQ? What are some things that they can do? What are some high IQ things that you're seeing in the Lone Star Conference? I know that might be a tough one.
Shot selection, shot selection for sure. Every open shot is not a good shot. You might get a kick out three, and you might be open, but at the time you might need a two, or you might get to your shot that you feel is best. You might have to get to a lift and go. You might need to make the one more. So I think just in making the right play, I think those two are the biggest things, as far as IQ goes, because again they can make or break a game, and I think with those two, if you can find ways to be successful in that, you're going to win. You're going to win. And anything less than, it's going to be tough to work with. It's going to be tough to work with for sure. So
Making the right play. This scenario, as soon as you said it, just came over my head. Like you go down the court 2 times, you don't score because you shoot the open three. On the
mhm.
third trip, man, the right play might be trying to get to the free throw line, trying to get to the basket. That we can't go 3 trips without scoring. But some kids be like, man, I'm wide open. Bro,
Right.
come on, it's a bad shot right there. We don't need it. We
So
need it for
so
sure. Bucket.
for sure. And
For
so let me
sure.
lay this on you. So our last game on Thursday, we going against the top 20 team in the nation. We were making a run. We're on the run. We've got to a point to where we're coming down. They haven't really scored in like 2 or 3 minutes, but they hit two back-to-back threes. We come back down, and I kid you not, we shoot 6 to 7 threes in a row, miss all of them. We lose the game just off of that. Because on those misses, they're coming back and capitalizing. They're shaking the rust off. They're starting to make shots. You know what I'm saying? So again, it's shot selection. We got to have guys who know that you might be open right here, but that's not what we need. And this is what the defense is baiting you into. So you got to take that into consideration. All right, what's the best possible thing that I can do? What's going to benefit my team? What's the winning play right here? You got to be able to what we was talking about at the beginning, making adjustments. You have to make adjustments.
Yeah,
You have to
yeah,
make adjustments. And so when you can find guys like that or find yourself in those type of situations, you got to know how to work through them. And like I said, and like we're talking about, is just IQ. Like
yeah.
IQ.
Especially knowing when you're down like that. That score clock is another defender. So if you're losing, how can you stop the game and still get
Yep.
free buckets? Get to the
Yep.
line. Get to the
That's
line.
correct.
They are forcing you to shoot threes. It's probably because they want the game to keep running. Because that time is going to continue to wind down. And as you start getting closer to the minutes, you start making bad plays. You
Right.
start turning the ball over, more rush
Yep.
shots. You're not running your plays, and then it just kind of trickles and goes downhill from there. IQ, shot selection, big. High school coaches take that. High school players take that. Middle school players, middle
For
school
sure.
coaches.
And that's even bigger when you get tired too.
Yes.
Oh
When
my
you get
gosh.
tired.
You got to maintain.
That's my biggest thing. I'm always watching the kid when they're tired. What are you doing when you're tired? Because I need players that can think past fatigue. Because the game is 40 minutes. And
Sure.
I'm gonna need you to give me at least 5 of them hard before we get to that media. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, for sure.
So you gonna be able to
Sure.
have you gotta be able to think through fatigue. Like that's my thing. Shot selection that plays a good part in it too. Like I really agree. So let me ask you this. First, I got 2 questions.
Okay.
But let's talk about scouting reports.
Okay.
Because I think that might be something that kids don't know about. How important is scouting reports at the next level? Because some high school kids might not have a scouting report.
Important. I'll say that. Important. Games can be won and lost off of scouting mistakes. I think it's important to know what the game plan is or what the coaches set out to do and find ways to execute that to the best of your ability. I think once you have and guys are going to same page with that. If you have 4 guys locked in on our assignment, may have 1 or maybe 2 who are not locked in, that messes up the whole scheme of what we're trying to do. If we're saying we're going to blitz or all the middle third ball screens and somebody's in drop coverage, you're messing us up. So I think that's the big thing. Knowing what your man can do, and we can tie this back into IQ. If we know that a guy that's going to go all left hand, you can't sit here and sit on his right shoulder or sit on his right hand and allow him to go left. You got to find ways to disrupt what he wants to do and make it and put it into your advantage. I think a lot of guys, just go through scout or watch scout or even take their scouting reports. Oh, this is not nothing. We're just gonna go out and ball. We can go out and hoop. We're just gonna find ways to win. No, I think first of all, the way you prepare yourself. If you're not prepared, failing to prepare is preparing to fail.
Yep.
If you don't prepare yourself for the game mentally, physically, and you can even say spiritually, you're setting yourself backwards. And if you're not taking into account what the personnel and what they're good at, and what they're trying to influence you to do, if you can't find ways to flip that and to make it flip make it win for your team or your program, you're losing the bigger picture. I can think about games we've lost just off of scouting mistakes.
Right.
Guys not closing out with a stick hand, somebody not boxing out the leading scorer in the conference.
Right.
Not cracking back. Yes, we rotate on defense. Now I need you to crack back to stop this guy who's cutting. You know what I mean? So
Right.
I think those all of those things and things I probably haven't even mentioned are why scouting is important.
Right.
Coaches put in a lot of time, a
Yes.
lot of effort, and just for you
Yes.
to not care. I think the
Mm-hmm.
least you could do is care, and then that next step is just taking that attention to detail and applying it and put it out into the court.
Absolutely. Attention to detail is what separates players. Like, because this is my biggest thing. I'm taking the time to do the scout. I need you to take the time to read it, to apply it, to know what you're doing, and know everything on the scout, because you're not going to always be guarding the same person. Like, know the scout and pay attention to the details, because winning comes in the details. Okay. So, my second question. On Beyond the Box Scores, one of the things that we both agree on is that point guards are becoming extinct. Would you agree with that or disagree with that?
That's a tough one. I've seen point guards, but I can see in the bigger scheme of basketball, it is kind of going out of extinct. To me, a point guard is someone who passes first and creates for their team. And often, especially nowadays, you're seeing the guys who can really score first. But I think You really, to me, you really can't win without a point guard. Somebody who knows how to manipulate the defense, control the pace. Those are things that you really have to make a difference. And they might be going at an extinct, but I think it's back to recruiting and back to scouting. You got to be able to find that guy that 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 can work for you. Whether that style, maybe the pass first style, maybe going extinct, excuse me. But I think whatever fits your team. Whatever point guard works for you, you gotta go find it. But unfortunately, yes, they are going extinct.
They are going extinct. Yes. Okay. So you agree with Beyond the Box scores.
Sure.
Okay. Give me 3 good qualities of a point guard, of a great point guard.
Oh, consistency, toughness, and demeanor. Demeanor,
Demeanor. That's a different one.
demeanor. It's kind of, you can kind of tie it in with body language, but that's just not getting too high or too low, like you mentioned. No matter what's going on, I need my point guard to be level headed. I need him to be locked in, focused on what's going on, focused on the next play. Thinking proactively. What can I do right here? What can I do this and with that? I I could say a whole lot more, but
Yeah.
just the demeanor. You got to your team is going to look back at you. When things are not going ideal. So my point guard, it needs to be somebody who can just remain cool, calm, and collected, no matter what.
Even keel, baby.
No matter
Even
what.
keel.
Even keel.
That's
Even
what we
keel.
say. Even keel. You gotta say even keel.
I'll be saying,
Bring point guards back.
bring them back.
Bring them back. You said something. You said I think it goes back to recruiting and finding that guy. I think it's deeper than that. I think you go back to the coaches and how we're teaching the game. Don't get me wrong. I'm cool with the positionless the positionless basketball. I'm cool with that too. But I am a traditional point guard. Give me somebody that can control the tempo of the game. Give me somebody that know who has the high hands. I need a real point guard.
I think the point guards are going to come back, but they're going to have to come back as the pass first mentality, but also be able to score. Before, the reason why point guards are leaving is because a lot of point guards can only shoot the floaters, get downhill, and then find people. So then they started, playing defense like they played on Rondo. You back up. But if you can still shoot that bad boy, bro, hey, them point guards, they going to come back. But you can't be the scorer mentality point guard, not this combo guard stuff. You got to be an extension of the coach on the floor. You got to have demeanor, right? Pretty much, like I always tell my point guards, like, what does the P in point guard stand for? And they be like, I don't know. I'd be like, look, it stands for poise. You got to be poised in all situations, right? And then from there, if you can still be an extension of the coach on the floor and get players in positions and you can still knock down the shots, yeah, you got that point guard coming back. But you got to just be, you can't be just a one-dimensional type point guard. You got to be able to get buckets too.
Absolutely. Okay, so we have so at the college level. Okay, so let me give you a scenario and then you kind of tell me kind of which one you will roll with. And then we're gonna kind of wrap it up because we've been chopping it up, talking about some good stuff, man. I can talk basketball all day, every day. All day, every day. All right, so you're a D2 coach. Okay? So you're in practice. Okay. So a guy shows up late to practice, but he communicated with you that he was going to be late to practice. And as he's communicating with you, he kind of told you that he had a rough day. So he come into practice, and he's giving his best effort, but it's not his best. Okay. Then you have another kid B, who comes into practice on time. Everything's good, but he's not giving his best. He's barely touching the lines. He's not communicating. He gets upset when he's making a shot. Which one in this scenario is going to have possibly get less playing time from this?
Honestly, This is me being me, both of them.
Mm.
Because I think your standards have to be set from day one. Your culture has to be maintained every single day, and you got to be who you right, back to being who you are through the good and through the bad. Now, I can work with a guy coming late from practice. You know, maybe he had class, maybe he had a test he had to do. You know, whatever the case may be. But like you said, one thing I cannot control or work with is a lack of effort, and not really going hard when you can. So me personally, both of those guys will gonna have to, one kind of sit down and really just gotta have the next man up mentality. Find those guys. You gotta find those guys who are doing what you need them to do. Yeah, you maybe late to class, but this guy is never late. He's giving his best effort. He's doing what I need him to do. So yeah, that's just what I would do personally.
Next man up mentality.
I
Love
like it. I like it. All right, so we are getting ready to wrap it up. We really, really appreciate your time. We appreciate your knowledge. We appreciate the nuggets that you have given some of these players, some of these people. So one thing, last thing first, whatever. Anyways, so what is one thing beyond the box score in basketball that stands out to you?
Impact and disruptiveness. Impact and disruptiveness. Excuse me. Impact and disruptiveness. You don't always have to go out, score the most points. You don't always have to go out and do anything spectacular. Um, but if you can go out, let's say, and disrupt the guy, let's say you're matched up with one of the, I guess, the high scorer, one of the best scorers. If you go out and disrupt him, and and he causes him to have a bad game, that puts us in an advantage and a drive to win. That's being disruptive. If you have a guy that's um not really scoring, but he's making impacts on defense. That stuff that you again making winning plays. That's ideal. I think just really disruptiveness. A lot of times, or even let's say you even have a guy that's on the bench, keeping his teammates encouraged. We're like, yes, let's say we're facing some type of adversity. You got a guy that's constantly telling his teammates, "Hey, yeah, let's come on, keep it up, stay with us, stay with us." A guy who's constantly being that voice of reassurance. Somebody that our team can really look to for inspiration. I think that's things that that you really can't find on the box score, to be honest.
What's one lesson? This is my last question. What's one lesson that basketball has taught you?
Life is going to come with highs and lows, but it's just how you handle them. It really tells who you are. One game, the ball is going to fall. You might feel on top of the world. One game, the next game, you might not be able to make nothing. You might, just feel really bad. Who you continue to show up to be. How you continue to handle yourself. How you interact with your teammates, interact with coaches, interact with the staff. However you can find yourself in the median of both of those, I think that goes a long way and can show who you are as a person, for
Yeah.
sure. And so just for me, it's just keeping in the back of my head that, good times may be good, times might be bad, but I got to keep showing up and doing my job, regardless of the fact. Even let's say like even with this season, this been a off the court. It's been a lot of emotional things, I've been dealing with, a lot of situations that were kind of unfortunate. But one thing I had to keep on putting in my head was to keep showing up, keep doing my job. Because again, we go back to the puzzle piece. Without my puzzle, we're missing we're missing the bigger picture. We can't achieve what we're set out to do. So I think if somebody can just maintain, again, the highs and lows of the game of life, you're setting yourself up to do something good for sure.
Yeah. And it sounds like my mom used to say this all the time to me. It sounds like what she used to always say is be present where your feet are touching the ground. That's what everything that you just said sound like. Like it can be things going on outside interference, things going on in the back of your head. But when you're in the gym where your feet touch that ground, be present in that moment. That's big, man. I love it.
That is big, man. Basketball has taught you a lot. Your journey is very inspiring. We appreciate you for being on the show. We appreciate you for not giving up, for continuing to want to push through, to persevere, because there are young men out there that need coaches like you. And we are all about coaches that are transformational coaches, and you are that, and you go beyond the box score. So we appreciate you. We just excited that you on the show. What was the guy name you said we got to get on here? What's his name?
Miles Gibson.
Miles Gibson. Hey, we got to get Miles Gibson up
Try to set
on
that
here.
up. Set that up for sure.
So we have Roy Montgomery the third, Oklahoma Christian, Lone Star Conference, baby.
I had 15. I wore 15.
That's the realest number, baby. That 1-5. Tell him again. That 1-5.
There we go. Yeah.
Three times 5. You got 3 in there. 15.
That's cool. We can work at that.
Any last remarks?
Keep showing up. Do your job. Do it to the best of your ability, the best you can, all the time. Consistency. If you got that, if you can show up all the time, it'll take you a long way in life. That's my TED Talk.
No, I said I had one more. This is my last one, bro.
Right,
if you could talk to your 12-year-old version of you, what would you tell them? Because it's probably another 12-year-old, 13-year-old, maybe even a 16-year-old that went through whatever scenario you went through at the age of 12. How can you keep telling them to push forward?
I'll just tell them to keep going.
That's it.
Keep going. That's it.
Yeah. Short and sweet, man. Keep going, y'all.
Keep it at that.
Keep going, man. I love that. Keep putting one foot in front of the other. Coach Smith, what you got for us, man?
We are out this thing. Keep one foot in forward. Keep moving forward, because you just never know.
You can't never make to the top unless you keep climbing.
Yep. And you're going to fall a little bit, but it's okay. Just get back up.
Easy.
Thank y'all for tuning in to Beyond the Box Scores. We are out.
All right.